Why is it that some influencers are making brands that go nowhere?
If you partner up with a celebrity who is not a natural content creator, almost immediately you can guarantee it's not going to work.
And I think often those influencers, when they try and get their hands really dirty in the business, are making a terrible mistake. You don't want Logan Paul to be like, let me learn about freight.
Optimize your entire campaign across mobile first. So the reason for this is that majority of your paid social traffic comes from mobile. They're coming from a shitty 5G iPhone to your site. It's got to load quick. It's got to be mobile optimized. This one's the biggest one that I think so many people miss that would dramatically impact conversion rate if they just added it. Social proof. It should be always visible. Social proof should be one thumb away.
For the last decade of e-commerce, we've conditioned ourselves as marketers to just immediately offer someone a percentage off or dollars off the gross value of their order. Sure, it helps to capture emails, but it's setting expectations that your brand is a coupon cannon right out of the gate.
This is one of the reasons I love Postscript. We know Postscript as the SMS company, but they've launched CashBack, a new Postscript product that allows customers to opt in to getting cash back towards their next purchase instead of just a discount. It can be redeemed as a gift card or store credit, where most brands will offer an additional 15 to 25% of credit value. Want new customers to convert better and return? Go to postscript.io/limited.
All right, Nick, we're back for episode 9 of season 7.
Finally
we're
in
back
person.
In the studio.
Thank God.
Yeah.
I hate remote recording.
Remote recording
I love
is
this
so
so
much
much
tougher.
better.
It's so
also,
much
the
tougher.
best part about this is like if I have a long day or a long week, this makes it so much better.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, I'm so excited to hear that. We got a bunch of stuff that we want to talk about today. The thing I'm most excited about is 20 CRO tips. Last episode we did we sort of audited a website called PF Candle, and we went through and said, hey, here's a bunch of things that you guys should change on your website to make it more conversion rate friendly. Mm-hmm. You've got 20 tips that you want to provide today, which I'm really excited about to hear because I feel like I want to know those 20 tips. You have a checklist of things at Sharma Brands that you wish you had done differently back when you started Sharma Brands and you were growing it. And you're like, if we had done this checklist, we wouldn't have made all these mistakes. I feel like I've got a bunch of checklists. I've never written them down, but I've got a bunch in my head about all the things I've done poorly.
Amazing.
But where we want to start really quickly is a sale of a business that just happened, which was Jonathan Van Ness Hair. Do you know Jonathan Van? Do you know who he is?
Yeah, JVN.
Yeah, and tell everyone about him because I'm not sure everyone knows about him.
I actually don't know much about him. I think he was on the show Queer Eye.
Yes,
right. And
yes.
then he built it. He has this following. He's built it more. He started a hair care line.
Yep.
That recently sold, and that's about as much as I know.
Yep, and he was like the hair guy on Queer Eye for the straight. I'm not sure if it was just called Queer Eye or if it's called Queer. I didn't watch the show really, but he was like the guy who would be like, "Let's make your hair awesome."
Yeah.
On Queer Eye, and his products look amazing. They're on JVNHair.com, and they look really beautiful. Do you know how much the business sold for?
No, tell me.
$1.25 million.
Wow. And how their valuation was like a few $100 million at some point, right?
I'm not sure if their valuation was a few $100 million. This was part of like a bankruptcy or near bankruptcy sale to a company called Winsong, which I wasn't aware of earlier. And the reason I wanted to bring this up with you is because it feels like, we were talking about this a few weeks ago. We were talking about Something Navy. I feel like I know a bunch of celebrity, brands that didn't get off the didn't go anywhere. Prime did. The Skims did.
Yeah.
I think Lemmy did. But why are there some brands that don't make why do some make it and why do some not? What is it about the celebrities that make it, and what is it? I used to think it was just about the size of the following isn't large enough.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that's the case because there have been people who have really small brands or small followings that have made real brands.
For sure.
Kristen S, I think, is a great example. She sells a hair care brand at Target and it's done really well. Why is it that some of these influencers are making brands that work and some influencers are making brands that go nowhere?
All right, I have a few thoughts here.
Okay.
One is that, and I think this is pretty applicable across the board, but if you partner up with a celebrity who is not a natural content creator, almost immediately you can guarantee it's not going to work. And by natural content creator, I don't necessarily mean that that they have to be a YouTuber or a TikToker or somebody who's picking up a selfie camera and making a video or a UGC style video. But for example, if you look at Jennifer Aniston, she makes videos for Lola V in her bathroom and records them with her iPhone, and those run as ads. Somebody who has like a natural inkling to want to create content, that is like number one. I think a lot of the failed ones, they're just not content creators. And so because of that, they're also not very in touch with how are people responding? What are they, what messaging points do they like or what do they not like? Things like that. The other one is that for celebrity brands to work really effectively, it's basically a game of distribution on both sides. One is on the eyeball side. So let's take Feastables, right?
Yep.
Feastables, immediately hundreds of millions of eyeballs, but at the same time, they had to have those tens of thousands of distribution points to go pick it up. Because just because you get the eyeballs, it's very rare, like a very tiny fraction of a percent are going to end up on the site and end up buying the product. It has to be available for
So you
easy
need massive
consumption.
distribution.
Yeah, exactly. The other one that I think is pretty important is it comes through in the content and in the the copywriting, the packaging, how the whole thing is presented is like how involved is this person actually in the brand?
Yeah.
Are they just sitting? Are they brought in by a talent agency? They get some points on the table, and now they're just basically the face of it with an obligatory quarterly post and X number of stories and show up to 2 events, or were they the ones in the boardroom at the beginning thinking about, okay, like Selena Gomez with Rare Beauty, the new comfort club they launched? Yeah. She thought about, okay, well, people who have hands that slip or can't grip as easily, how do we make the packaging a little bit different for them?
Sure.
People who, the whole idea of mental health with Rare Beauty, how do we make the products more calming so that when you put them on, you actually feel calm? And so I think even the celebrity, like being actually involved in the brand, makes a huge difference from the beginning to the end.
Okay. I agree with some of those points and disagree with others. Like Jonathan Van Ness has 5.7 million Instagram followers.
Yeah.
I think he is a natural content creator. I think he's constantly creating content. I'm not sure if he's always creating like content specifically for his brand, but I think he is like a natural content creator. And, I think his product is definitely at Sephora. I think it's at several other locations as well. Mm-hmm. So I think he has a little bit of distribution, maybe not as much distribution as you would expect. I think there's a couple things. One is, does the celebrity want to do this? Is actually like a almost a paramount question.
Yeah.
I once talked to this guy named Jeff Curl who runs Stance Socks, and he's like, I would interview all these influencers to be like celebrities that worked with Stance Socks. And he's like, most like people would come in, the first thing they'd say is, what are the economics? Mm-hmm. Like, how much am I going to make? Like, how much are you going to make? How often do you have to post something about Stance Socks? And he's like, I never wanted to work with any of those people. And he's like, I talked to Dwayne Wade, and Dwayne Wade was like, socks have always been a huge issue for me. Like finding good socks, finding socks that are really comfortable, that don't get really wet while I'm playing the game are impossible to find. Mm-hmm. And so, he's like, I love Stance Socks. And Curl was like, this guy is the right guy for us because he sees this as a genuine problem for him.
Yeah.
He's going to talk about it, not only when he has to, but when he doesn't have to. And when he talks about it, he's going to get excited, and you're going to notice that in the sound of his voice and his his intonation, his facial expressions, everything. And so I think part of it is you need to find a celebrity who is excited about it. Like, totally. I think Prime, the guys are actually excited about it. Like, I think that aside from probably drinking Prime when they're like at home, I think that like when they do drink Prime and talk about it, they get like, they light up.
Totally.
And I think you need that. The other side of things is I think you need an insane operator that no one has ever heard of to actually do this. And I think not enough people talk about this.
That is such a good part. The no one has ever heard of part.
Yeah. Like, it's not who's not running Skims? Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
Who's not running JVS or JVN hair? Jonathan Van Ness, I would imagine. Yeah. Like generally there's a CEO behind the brand, and that CEO sort of makes all the decisions. And I think often those influencers, when they try and get their hands really dirty in the business, are making a terrible mistake.
Agreed. It's also like the reason you're using them is not because they're a good CEO. It's because they're really good at something else that you can leverage.
Yes. Yeah. And what you don't want is you don't want Logan Paul to be like, let me learn about freight.
Yeah.
And determine like, how expensive is it going to be to get these like bottles from here to here? And let me offer my input. I mean, look, offer your input if you want. And if you're really going to learn about it, great. I got it. If you want to be an operations guy, I'm sure you've got the skill set and the talent to do it, but it's going to take time and it's going to take, humbling. Because you're not going to know what LTL and FTL are if you're Logan Paul probably right out of the gate.
Right.
And I think, realistically, you probably don't want to invest your time in something that you can pay somebody $75,000 a year to do, because that's not what, your time is far more valuable than that. And so I think a lot of times, they don't have that right CEO. Or I think the problems are often they're not excited about it. The CEO that they have is not a good CEO, or the celebrity actually believes that they should be CEO and interferes in the business in a way that doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Like I know celebrities who have brands and they just say no to all product launches. They're just like, this isn't good enough. This isn't good enough. This isn't good enough. If they worked with Apple and you're like, here is the Apple Vision Pro, they'd be like, this isn't good enough.
Yeah.
It's just like, we're never going to make any progress here. And then I've known brands where the CEO's like, we need to launch this line. And then I need to get involved in operations and finance and understand all this stuff. And you're like, this is not going to be your skill set. Like your skill set is showing our brand to everybody and like basically having your own channel and being your own Facebook, not necessarily the finance side of things. And so I think that I'm not sure where these problems happen. Like I think it's something Navy. It was probably a little bit of, actually, I don't know what the problem was. I think there was a little bit of all three.
Yeah.
But I think there are all these problems that actually cause these influencer-led brands to fail. But I'm not sure, I don't have any internal information at JVN.
Yeah. The other thing that came to mind, which people probably won't like, is, as you were saying that, is CEOs who want to be the celebrity.
Yes.
Or who try to go be the celebrity.
Oh, yeah.
Those never work. And I think that was also probably a little bit with something Navy as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think overall I fully agree with everything you said.
There's a lot of direct-to-consumer businesses, not forget about the celebrities, where the CEO is trying to be a celebrity. And I'm like, how do you have this much time to be
Same with the SaaS companies in this space.
Definitely, yeah.
If I look at the companies I've invested in, the companies where the CEO creates zero content are 10 times bigger than the companies where the CEOs are trying to create content and build in public.
Yeah, I think it's severalfold. One is I think their intention may start out right, and genuine, which is if we build and talk about this on Twitter, we're going to get free customer acquisition, which is so hard to do when you're. And I'm going to name this business that I don't think it's them, retention.com, or Nostra, or, whatever you are, or Postscript even.
Yeah.
Right? Like a customer to Postscript is worth so much money.
Totally.
And so if we build in public or just are active on Twitter, maybe we can get those, maybe we can get customers for free. But I think it quickly turns into, what's fun is seeing a bunch of people tweet at you all the time. And engaging with those people and becoming
Becomes
walking
a
around.
Dopamine thing.
Yeah. I was at the Super Bowl and some guy's like, hey, I know who you are. And I was like, this is awesome. Yeah. And I was there with my brother. I was at I went somewhere for New Year's to this hotel and this guy's like, hey, I know who you are. And I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And, I like that.
Sure.
And it's nice to and the more I understand if some guys have ghostwriters, but a lot of these people are actually doing it themselves. And I think they're spending way too much time doing it.
Fully agreed.
Okay, let's move on to the, screw that. We don't even know what we're talking about here. Let's go into these 20 conversion rate optimization tricks. Okay, I'm really excited about them. Hit me.
These are 20 tips that I think everybody could go through, and it's all around CRO. So we'll start with the first one. So this one, and some of these are going to sound obvious, but I'll explain them a little bit. And if you have questions, feel free to throw them at me. The first one is optimize your entire campaign across mobile first. So write copy for mobile, optimize the video or the static ad for mobile, optimize the landing page experience for mobile, primarily focusing on above the fold offers and CTAs. The reason for this is that majority of your paid social traffic comes from mobile. And it's just a good rule of thumb to make sure from design, funnel design and CRO that you are mobile first. Most people, when we're working and we're thinking through things or trying to find examples of other funnels, we do it all on a desktop computer because we're sitting at our desk.
Yes.
But we have to be empathetic to those who are actually seeing the ads and clicking the ads. They're coming from a shitty, 4G or 5G, which I think is slower than LTE. They're coming from a shitty 5G iPhone to your site. It's got to load quick. It's got to be mobile optimized. And if you don't have something that captures them kind of like a tentacle that they can latch to or wrap onto, then you've already lost.
Yeah, in fact, I agree with that entirely. I remember my first website that we started for Caskers was not mobile optimized, and some like the first thing somebody did was they're like, "Look at what it looks like on mobile," and I was like, "Oh fuck, are people already?" This is back in 2012. I was like, "Are people already purchasing on their cell phone?"
Yeah,
and so we did what Apple did at the time, which was we don't have a mobile website. You just go to our desktop website and you like zoom and pinch everywhere. Even Apple, and Apple only did this in the last like 3 years. They developed a mobile first site.
Yeah,
like, it was very late to the game, but yes, of course. More than half your traffic is going to be mobile. Of course, you have to optimize for that.
The next one caters right to that, which is basically focusing on load time. So a lot of people, they take these really beautiful photographs. They make these incredible videos, these beautiful graphics, illustrations. You upload it to your site, and they're fully unoptimized. It takes anywhere from 2 to 6 seconds to load a site. And then again, you think about that shitty 5G iPhone coming in. You're talking about like 10 to 12 seconds, and you're going to lose somebody almost immediately. Yeah.
You do have to make sure that your images aren't like massive and taking forever to load. That makes a ton of sense.
Landing pages are really good there because you can host them on a subdomain, which don't have any of the other scripts or pixels that your main site might have, but you can at least get the user landed. So for example, with Unbounce, you can almost guarantee like a 1 second load time.
No matter what, you bring in a huge image and they'll make it so that
Unbounce will compress it.
Okay, awesome.
Next one is to use Heatmap tools. So you want to use you can use Hotjar or Microsoft Clarity. I like Clarity because it's free.
Yeah.
But the 3 things I do there are a heat map. So you just look at a general heat map on desktop and mobile. You look at where people are spending time, their cursors dragging along. You look at scroll depth maps, which helps you understand even more than the heat map, how far are people actually going down, and where is that drop-off point?
Yeah, I think that's incredibly important. I'm going to stop you right there, is because so many people are like, okay, I need to build, like I'm going to keep building more and more proof and stuff at the bottom, and I'm like, 3% of people are going to see this. Like, very few people will continue to scroll down. When I was building Native's website, actually, like I created the top part was obvious. You pick a scent and add to cart button. Then the bottom was like a stick of deodorant and a bunch of like the ingredients and what they do, and then reviews. And I was like, I need to add more. And then I was like, no, actually, nobody is going to go below this.
Yeah.
And like even then, getting to like people would get to the reviews a little bit, but almost no one would even get to near the footer because they're like, I've seen enough. So on mobile, it's so important because the reality is most people are not getting as low as you think that they are.
Exactly, and that brings up a really good point, which is you have to make sure that. Actually, my favorite example is a contract. When you read an agreement or a contract and you come across paragraph 2 and it says the word client.
Yeah.
Right. Above, client is actually defined.
Yes.
Every word in a contract is previously defined.
Yes.
And the same thing has to go with your customer journey here, where if you get to that native PDP and you're talking about jojoba oil, but you didn't describe that before or give context to that, either in the ad or above the fold on the page, you're going to lose somebody right there as well.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. So you have to have context of like what's below the fold, above the fold.
Exactly.
Okay.
Or even just if you give somebody a term or a word or a piece of jargon that's confusing or very industry specific, make sure you define it so when they read it, they can read it and understand it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Next thing on the heat map is the user session recordings, which are my favorite.
Okay.
Why are you laughing?
I'm laughing because I've got a crazy story to tell about that, but we'll do it a different time.
User session recordings I love because it's like sitting back and eating popcorn, just watching users interact on your site.
Yeah.
It helps you understand like where are people clicking. For example, if you have a product with a bunch of variants, it's really easy to understand which variants you should reprioritize. It'll also help you just understand where are people dropping off, like what gets them to either add to cart content-wise or what gets them to drop off and realize that it's not for them.
Yeah. What I really like about that is like you'll see how far they'll scroll to the bottom, then they'll scroll to the top and add to cart, and I'm like, okay, this is where you were convinced.
Exactly. Next one is...
Do you think there should be an add to cart button always at the bottom of a mobile page?
Yeah. Actually, I'll go to that one next, which is...
Because I don't... Like, who does that really? I never do that. And I wonder if everyone else does that and I'm making a big mistake.
Yeah. I think you should have a global... I call it global, but basically just means it follows you around across the whole site. Some sort of a add to cart button, shop bestsellers button, something that's always triggering you to want to click and get into a funnel or get into a consumer journey. If you're driving paid traffic, ideally you're going to one of these already.
Yeah.
But if somebody's coming from Google Shopping or a catalog ad, they end up on a PDP, then they click to the homepage, they're not really sure what to get.
Yeah.
You should have something that can get them back into that journey.
Yeah. I guess what I'm saying though is like, on a PDP, when you're scrolling down and you're like deep below the fold, should you have an add to cart button right there? Or should you like expect people to go up to the top? Do you have any opinion on that? Or is it just like,
yeah, no. I think I'm a fan of always just having one visible.
Okay.
At least one visible.
Okay.
You can have it where, if you scroll down past a certain point, it enables. So if you get too far deep, but maybe it's like if you're one section away from from
you can
the buy
scroll
box,
to the
you just
top.
keep it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. The other one I have is I call it the TRACE framework, which stands for technology, reporting, audience, creative, and experience. Technology is any tech you use, Northbeam, Triple Whale, whatever. Reporting is just make sure you're actually looking at the reporting, your creative reporting, your Facebook reporting, whatever it is. Audience is who you're going after. Creative is the messaging, positioning, merchandising, and experience is the offer, the page you're going to. And basically just making sure that trace funnel is set from start to finish. So that means that the messaging at the Facebook ad that you first see is consistent with the follow-up email somebody gets after they put their email in on the site, and that's cohesive.
Oh my God. That is
like
so,
that?
I like that, but I also think that's so much work.
It is, but it works.
So basically, if I see an ad for native deodorant, I'm like, okay, prevents bad odors, then I should get my first email should be, hey, this is really good at preventing bad odors.
Exactly.
But if I click over from an ad that says aluminum free because aluminum's terrible for you, then my first email should be, hey, this is aluminum free. So anytime you create an ad, you should sort of create an email probably. I read this thing when I was in college. I would go to men's health forums because I was like, okay, no woman will ever talk to me. And so this is really depressing. So I was like, what should I be doing? So I'd go to these dumb men's health forums and they're like, anytime you buy a pair of shoes, you need to pick up a belt that's the exact same color. Like basically brown shoes, brown belt, which I actually didn't know.
That's why women don't talk to me.
No, your reputation for No, but I didn't know that you were supposed to wear brown shoes, brown belt. And that actually was enlightening to me.
Yeah.
And now I feel like what you're saying is add email. Like anytime you create a new ad, you should have anytime you create a new ad that says, aluminum free is good for you, you have to have the follow-up email for that.
Yeah, the other piece is like, in theory, at this point, you have 2 to 3 things that work.
Yeah.
This isn't like when you're testing 30 angles.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so you've got 2 or 3. Okay, wow, that's surprising. I never did that. I was always
Really?
like, we had the same email. Hey, welcome.
I don't think it was as necessary 3 years ago. Even 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I think it's gotten more necessary just with the fact that.
Do you know a brand that does a really good job of that?
Is one of them.
Okay.
Next one. This one's the biggest one that I think so many people miss that would dramatically impact conversion rate if they just added it. Social proof. Your homepage hero, add those stars, add how many deodorants sold, add how many, followers you, like whatever you have for social proof, add it and use it. It should be always visible. Social proof should be one thumb away. One thumb scroll up or down or left or right away from being able to see social proof and understand that you're not alone. Other people, thousands of people have tried this before you have to make sure it's not going to be ruined for you. A lot of times homepages have no social proof in their hero section. Product pages lack social proof. Ads lack social proof. You know who does this the best is Jolie, in my opinion. Their entire site, start to finish, is entirely built off of social proof. All their ads are basically UGC from other people that's been collected and submitted and approved. But like even Jolie's product page images, image number 3, 4, and 5 are basically social proof or pieces of social proof that they just move up, and it's done really well. At first I thought it was corny. I think it's genius because it's done extremely well for them, and they've never had to change that and get rid of that.
Yeah. I think social proof is a no-brainer. One of the things that we used to do, like when I was running native, we had like different tabs where like, here's the description where we're like, okay, this is the deodorant, here are all the ingredients, and here's ingredients, and here's why they're great. And then down here is reviews.
Yeah.
And then we A/B tested, should we just have reviews shown? And like you could click the tab that said reviews, and then you'd pop up just the reviews.
Yeah.
So forget about the reviews below. We were basically like, here's an add to cart button, here's some more information, and then here are reviews. And it turned out that nobody even liked that. They just wanted an add to cart button and reviews.
Yeah.
And like, look, when you go to Amazon, what's the first thing you do? You just look at reviews because you're like, this is what is going to make me excited about this product.
Totally.
And so, yeah, I think social proof should be everywhere. Reviews should be everywhere. I think, people game reviews all the time on Amazon or wherever it is. I would just have reviews. We tried this other thing actually where we did video reviews.
Yeah.
And so basically we got customers to send in review, like, record on their iPhone and hold up a stick of deodorant and be like, I love native deodorant. And we'd send out emails across them and we'd hope
Did you see the gun to their head in the back?
They couldn't see it. But nobody like those email reviews didn't work as well. Didn't work at all on the PDP, which was surprising. They worked really well via emails to get people to buy because people would be like, this is like, a 32-year-old woman with her newborn son. Like this is obviously not a paid review. And that was really effective via email, but not on the PDP. That said, I think you're absolutely right. Social proof everywhere, all over your website is the best.
And I think the other thing with social proof is a lot of people will put quotes on their site, but they don't put quotes that directly correlate to benefits that they know will work.
Yeah.
So for example, if it's native, native definitely does this right. But like, for example, if it previously said, I love the way that the packaging comes. It's so easy and it arrives on time. Or, it ships and it arrives on time. I've never had issues with delivery.
Yeah.
It's not going to be as strong as I used to sweat every day through my natural deodorant, but this formulation has completely gotten rid of that. Or this formulation absorbs everything.
Yeah.
Like that type of social proof is 10 times stronger than any regular review.
Yes, yes.
The next one is making sure you have making sure that your risk reversals are obvious. Most brands have this. Google Shopping actually requires it to be a part of Google Shopping, which is, some sort of a refund policy, 30-day satisfaction guarantee, no hassle returns orders over 50. Magic Spoon has this thing called a happiness guarantee. And most people have this, but it lives in a tiny little drawer in the FAQ. They don't display it next to on the PDP, or I like displaying it right underneath the add to cart button. It's like, right as you're about to make this big decision, let me just reassure you one more time.
Yeah. Yeah, who does a really good job of this is Harry's. Like, as you're checking out on their checkout page and their cart page, they'll be like, no hassle returns, fast shipping, comes from the United States, all this stuff to get you to purchase. I'm not sure if they still did it. They did it a long time ago, and it was super effective. I love those icons that they put in. They're like very easy returns. All this right now, they still do a quality guarantee. If you don't love your Harry's order, it's on us.
Yeah,
it's
the
awesome.
Other one that I love a lot that I've seen work well is like telling people how fast their order is going to ship or where it's going to ship from. So if you've got your, it's like your order will ship within 12 hours from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Your order will ship within 12 hours from Dallas.
Yeah.
Like just adding that, for some reason, pierces through the bullshit meter that most people have around social proof.
Yeah, that's true. There used to be this app called FOMO, which would be
pop up.
Yeah, Nik. Yeah. Actually, let me tell one other thing about social proof that I forgot what I was going to say earlier, which is even airlines do this. Like when you're checking out and they're like, "Hey, do you want the insurance?" 4,200 people have said yes to this travel insurance, which I think is a complete bullshit lie. But they're still it's still social proof that they're showing. It's like FOMO. Hey, people are gonna people are buying this, so you should too probably.
That is one of my favorite examples of conversion optimized checkout. Is when you buy a flight, you have one option to make it to make it a refundable flight.
Yeah,
us Indians, we don't do that. And then you have a second option to get the insurance. And literally if you click no, it becomes all red. It's like 40,000 people just did this in the last 7 days. Are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah, your plane might crash now.
Yeah,
basically what they say. Yes, exactly. Yeah, we used to do that as well when people on our post-purchase pop-up and our add to cart pop-up, we'd say the same thing. Like X number of people have accepted this today. For if we were doing like a travel size deodorant at the time or whatever. That was super effective for us. Let me ask you one other question on like checkout page. Or on cart page, should there be any Should there be any links to anything else? Like you know what Amazon does is they're just, I guess let me ask you this. First, should there be a cart page or should there be a pop-out cart? Should there be anything there or should it just like, should there be no distractions? Like on checkout, if you had a Harry's checkout, all of a sudden all of the links on checkout disappear. Same thing with Amazon. All the links disappear. You can only go back. Like you barely know that you can go back. Because they're like, don't accidentally click FAQ, return. Like they're like, don't click anything. You're on the checkout page. Please just click give us your money.
Yeah.
And I thought they did a really good job of that. I wonder if people should do that on their cart page.
Yeah. I'm a fan of that starting checkout. I do think for the most part, carts should be slide out. But I also think that it kind of depends because I do think in some more luxury fashion or luxury brand experiences, they like that separate cart page.
Yeah.
Which I think is actually mainly stemmed from companies like Salesforce not being able to have an effective cart drawer. But I'm a bigger fan of the slide out drawer. I think it's easier to use. If you're buying multiple items, like if you're planning to buy more than 2 things,
you don't want to
keep going back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey Moiz, a couple weeks ago, I saw this company ProMix launched a protein-packed Rice Krispie treat. I don't know if you've heard of them, but the coolest part was after I purchased, I immediately got an email from Postscript CashBack, and it gave me $15 of cash that I could redeem on my next purchase, which I used as soon as my first box of bars ran out. Have you seen this before?
Yeah, it's Postscript CashBack. It's a new product for them. It's amazing. Postscript is really known for SMS, but this cashback product actually increases email and SMS signups by 31%. It increases contribution margin by 5%. It's going to be huge for Postscript.
That's amazing. If you want to see a demo and see how the product works, visit postscript.io/limited. That's postscript.io/limited. Okay. On to the next one is reducing the total number of clicks to purchase. So every study in the world will tell you that the more you can reduce clicks, the better chance you have. Every click is a 50-50 chance that somebody's going to click through or somebody's going to say, you know what, I don't have time for this right now.
Yeah, it's just friction.
Yeah. Next one is leading with your best offer first. So if you're running an important promo or a discount, feature it front and center on your landing page. If your hero has 1,000 5-star reviews, feature that on the site. Give yourself the best chance to succeed by leading with the highest and best offer. People will always get your subsequent offers on email. Maybe they'll scroll to a different part of the site and see something else, but making sure your offer is loud and proud and really obvious. And even one thing I like to do with consumables is break down the costs. So I remember with Hydrant, we did this test, which was we were running a $29 trial pack, which was 30 sticks. And we used this messaging of less than $1 per day. And that changed the landing page completely.
Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. I think like a lot of people do that because like I think Athletic Greens does it, although I'm not sure whether you're just like, look, it's not as much money as you think.
Yeah.
Although it's actually much more money than you think. We can't tell you that price. So we're going to break this down to $1 a day.
Agreed.
Oh no, Athletic Greens doesn't do it. I take it back.
The next one is using large product imagery with bright colors to draw attention. So a lot of product imagery is boring. It's like single product. Out of the whole image, it's taking up 30% of that square or that size, and the rest of it's plain background. It's white, and it's just like not effective. It's just such a waste.
We tested this.
Yeah, I call that oceanfront real estate.
Yeah,
like above the fold on the product page, especially on mobile. That is oceanfront real estate that's just sitting there, not being used.
Yeah,
and you could do things. You could add iconography. Jolie does, again, a great job with this.
Yeah.
They add iconography on the top. Frey does a really good job adding value props on the right side. And this kind of leads into the DPA convo later. But overall, like product imagery is you're basically visually conveying the vibes of your brand and who your brand represents through an image.
Yes, I love that. And the other thing I would say about product imagery is make it huge.
Yeah.
Like size matters. And bigger is better. I told you your reputation precedes you. And like bigger is better. Like, you know what? We were terrified. Like, you know what? A couple times people were like, why do we have this? We had 2 deodorant sticks. And they're like, why do we have 2 sticks? Let's just put one and like, make it a normal size. I was like, this looks like you're paying $12 for something so small. Like it's like a miniature thing. Make it ginormous. I wanted you to think that when you got the deodorant, it was going to be a 6-foot tall deodorant sitting right next to you, you know?
Yeah.
And size, like you're right. You don't want to make your products look tiny because they're going to look like they're a bad value.
Right.
You don't want to leave too much white space or like, or not take advantage of that oceanfront real estate.
100%.
So I think that's absolutely true. That's a great point.
The next one goes right with that, which is to make your discounts visible. So if you've got discounts, if you've got a site promo that's active, put that in the notification bar at the top. Make it easy to copy codes or auto apply codes.
Yeah.
Don't let somebody being unable to know if their discount is applied or enter a discount stop them from you getting a sale.
Yes.
And I think you did a really good job with this by putting that coupon code field in the slide out cart, which is not native to Shopify or to Rebuy or really to any of these apps that exist on Shopify. But you added that, and obviously that did well. I'm a fan of that too, because again, if the average 55-year-old woman's going to the site and they don't know that shop pay or shop checkout is a separate experience than the front end of the site, they might just think that there's no place to put the discount in and they're out.
Don't try and make it hard to find a coupon code field either. People are going to be like, I can't find the coupon. You're going to get some people who buy and then email you and be like, can you apply this coupon? But 80% of the people, if you don't make the coupon code field obvious, will not purchase.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. Like when we switched from Woo to Shopify, Shopify didn't have that coupon code field in the cart page, and we saw an instant decrease in conversion rate as a result of that.
Yeah.
And overall, our WooCommerce website converted better than our Shopify website.
Wow. Is that still the case?
I don't know. I don't know if that's still the case. I'm like, I would say there's far less emphasis on their website today than there was 5 years ago because now native's everywhere. But like it converted far better on WooCommerce than Shopify, which was really surprising to me.
Wow. The next one is to try an off-brand add to cart button. So everybody's got very boring, bland, blending in add to cart buttons. Sometimes the entire button's black and the text is very small, thin white text that says add to cart.
Yeah, we talked about this with PF Candle Co., right?
Yeah, exactly. Make that shit so loud, so obnoxious, you should not be able to scroll and miss that or assume it's a part of the site's UI design or not to be clicked on, especially the hover state. If you have desktop, like you should have a hover state. There should be something should happen when you hover over.
Yeah, absolutely. And you almost want the same button, the same color to be used the entire journey.
Yeah.
When it's like add to cart, then it's like view check, start checkout, and then it's complete purchase or whatever it is. There should be the same color continuity, obviously, but that color should be like a unique color. So no one else, you're not like, oh, where is this?
Yeah.
Like that color needs to stand on its own and be the only color that follows you around.
Yes.
To be like, my journey is green or blue or, not black, but red. Okay, I click red buttons to move along.
Right. Oh, that's a great tip. I'm going to try that.
Yeah, it has to be that. It should be a unique color. This is a conversion rate. I remember when we were running Caskers, we're like, oh, okay, it has to be the same color everywhere people go. So they're like, I know what color to click. When I'm looking at the website, if I couldn't read, and something like 33% of Pakistanis cannot read, then all I need is the color.
The visual
exactly
cue.
To move around. Yeah.
That's smart. The next one I have is just declutter the site. So there's a lot of sites just have a bunch of vomit thrown on them. It's because there's so much thrown in. We saw this with PF Candles. The collections page, the imagery is kind of up and down. It's not really side by side. It's not clean.
Yes.
Snap to the grid. And all that does is, one, it confuses people, and two, it just makes people feel like they don't trust what they're buying from, who they're buying from, or that their product's even going to arrive.
Yeah.
We live in this bubble where we know these cool brands on Shopify.
Yeah.
But my mom has definitely bought at least 3 things where she's paid for it, and it's never arrived. And those type of people are majority of shoppers.
Definitely.
You have to make sure those people feel like they're going to get their product.
Yeah, I wonder if you should just write ships in 12 hours everywhere.
Yeah.
Free, if ships, it doesn't even matter if, it could be Christmas Day.
Yeah.
At 1 a.m. and it's not going to ship in 12 hours. Just write ships in 12 hours.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
The next one is to treat the cart page like its own landing page. So in the slide out cart or on the cart itself, you should have the same risk reversals. So the money back guarantee, the happiness guarantee, whatever it is. You should, if it's empty, you should be able to click it. It slides out. It features reviews. So you want to show people again that hey, let's get back into the journey.
Yeah, I love that idea. You mentioned that last week, and I was like, this guy is taking advantage of empty carts.
Yeah. If you have a product in there that has a subscription option, make that button to subscribe and save 40% or 20%, whatever that number is. If you've got a body wash in there, add the complementary product that people buy most often. You can easily go into your data and look at, okay, if people are buying this, what is the other thing they're most likely to buy? Just suggest that. There's a good chance the take rate might be there. And then, of course, in the post-purchase journey, you can also use that real estate to get somebody to buy something else or add to their existing order.
Yeah. And I think in that cart page also, when you're doing that upsell, that's also a great place to not just complementary products, but also products where you might have like a low price point, but high margin, because you're like, you know what you don't want someone to buy is like a $4 item on your website. Either they're going to have to pay shipping and you're not going to make as much. But if someone's already added a $20 item, probably pretty easy to get them to add a $4 item.
For sure.
Like you don't want to do a $20 item and give them another $30 upsell.
Totally.
Like, you want to do a lower amount. For post-purchase upsell, I remember going to some e-commerce class when I was, your age. And the guys said, your post-purchase upsell, the success you'll have, the number one item and the number one conversion rate for your post-purchase upsell will be the exact same product they just purchased. So if they bought native eucalyptus and mint, sell them native eucalyptus and mint at a discount. So they just bought it for $12 or $13, offer them at $8. And like they'll be like, I just paid this much for it. The number one way to get them to buy on the post-purchase is to offer the exact same product at a lower price. It's not always the best thing for your brand.
Sure.
But it was like, he's like, this is the number one way to get an opt-in on post-purchase.
Do you remember the take rate on that?
Our post-purchase upsell was a travel size deodorant.
Yeah.
And it was 20%, which was pretty high.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. And we also tested price point, $3, $4, and $5. And believe it or not, the take rate was we'd make more money if you took a $5. If we priced it at $5, we'd make more money. Our take rate went down a little bit, but the increase in price,
I see it,
made up for it. But we even after I learned that, and like we did an A/B test, and I was like, okay, $5 is the best, but we still priced it at $3 because I just felt like $5 was a ripoff. And I was like, I can't, people are like, when I buy a Gillette razor blade, and I don't really buy them anymore, but when I used to, I'm like, I hate this company.
Yeah.
Like, bring me that gun, like, show me their headquarters. If there's like show me that headquarters, and I want to protest.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to be that brand where I'm like, okay, if we can screw somebody, let's screw somebody. So we brought it back down to $3.
Got it. Yeah, makes sense. The next one is use iconography. There are so many, you could go to, I think the site is flaticon.com.
Yes.
And there's 14 million icons that you can easily download for free. Anything that you think is a bullet point or a value prop, do not write it. Put it into an icon because one, that catches people's attention.
Yes.
Two, they can visually see it. And three, it makes it so much easier to understand info, and also it saves space on your site.
Yes, I completely agree. And also, tell us what your best seller is, like with a badge as well. Yeah, you know why people put the Allure badge, and you have to pay, once you win the Allure award. Yeah. They're like, now you got to pay us,
baby.
Yeah. In fact, it's probably the greatest monetization scheme I've ever seen, which is pay us for this. And I called them up and I was like, look, I'll give you $50,000. Let me use this badge, and they're like, no. You have to win the award first. And I was like, all right, fine. Here's the thing. Now here's $50,000. Like, you have to pay them for it. But those badges really work.
Yeah.
And so I think if you've won an award or can attest to something like that, and I saw Jolie does that actually. They do like everything in those types of badges. But also tell me what your best seller is, especially if you're like selling personal care products. When I go to a website, if someone's like, hey, you got to check out Skin Better Science or white or whatever it is, I want a badge to be like, this is what I should be buying, not to be confused by being like, okay, like Skin Better Science sells vitamin C, like a neck firming cream, all these other things. And I'm like, I tell me what your best seller is. What are you guys known for? What's the hero product? What does everyone buy from you? I don't want to make a mistake and purchase something else.
Agreed. My one tip, if you happen to win those awards and you haven't paid yet, but maybe you plan to at some point in the future, don't name that image file Allure winner badge.
Oh, for sure.
PNG.
Because they're looking for that.
They're looking for that. They've got crawlers. For every publication has crawlers. All right. Next one. If you have video on your site.
Were you the recipient of one of those letters being like, hey, we caught you?
All the time. Really? I can't even put the Forbes 30 under 30 on my own website without getting an email cease and desist being like, you have to pay us some 5-figure sum in order to have this on your own site.
Really? Forbes says that?
Yeah.
What about on Instagram?
Instagram, I think, is different.
Okay, or Twitter. You can do it on Twitter.
That's different.
That's
But
so
like,
weird.
Yeah, there's actually a company that does this on behalf of the publications. I forget the name of it, but they do it for majority of them. And then I think there's one other company that does it too.
They send out cease and desist letters and try and get.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, you're using this. You know, we depending on how big you are, they'll say either we want a flat fee or we want a percentage base, or we want a fee that scales up based on your site visitors.
Wow, that's bananas.
Totally fucked up.
Yeah. There's a lot of these also. I'm not sure if you get any emails where people are like, hey, we're naming LA's like, 10 hottest or like 10 smartest investors.
And they want you to pay to be on the list.
Pay $1,500 and you'll be one of LA's 10.
I love asking, investors. Show me some other ones, for example. I can see everybody who's paid. Who are the suckers out there?
Yeah.
The next one is comparison charts. So when I mentioned the word tentacles earlier, basically what I'm saying is this concept of like, if you have 10 reasons somebody would, let's say we're body wash, right? Body wash that cures acne on your back. It's a real problem.
Definitely.
Let's say there's 10 reasons somebody would buy that. One is maybe odor, one is uncomfortability when sleeping, one is, you're trying to go and see a girl, whatever it is. If you can grab a tentacle and relate to somebody, then it's easy. Like you've done half the job. Then you just have to explain how your product fixes the problem and show them the benefits.
Yeah.
Comparison charts do a really good job of this because depending on who you're going to or where in the funnel they are, you can give them a point of reference and then tell them how your product is better.
Agreed. Yes. Yeah. You can be like, they all offer this, but we offer this. Yeah. I love comparison charts. They're great.
I think also on TikTok shops. Why are you laughing?
We did this at Native, and when we were selling the business, we were talking about Unilever and P&G, and
they're both off.
You have to take off this comparison. Both of them were like, you're going to take this down if we buy you, right? And I was like, all right, yeah, we'll take it down.
Maybe.
And then both of they both mentioned that pre-acquisition. They're like, you're going to have to take this down. I was like, all right.
I can just imagine that analyst in some suit, some finance office going through, he's like, he doesn't like P&G.
No, we were just trying to differentiate ourselves, like you mentioned. Totally. Yeah. And then they were like, how is this going to hurt business when you take this down? And I was like, this is so below the fold.
Yeah.
You guys have no idea. Yeah. I was like, nobody is going to see, don't worry about it.
Yeah. Next one is, it sounds obvious, but it's not obvious when you go to sites and look at it in practice, which is do not speak in value props. Speak in English. Or sorry, my head I'm thinking, don't speak Chinese, speak English. But don't speak in value props, speak in benefits.
Yes.
So value props are like features. Value props are features, like a product being non-GMO or organic. Benefits are how this product changes your life, telling you to help you achieve clear skin or be more confident to approach women, whatever it is.
Yeah, talk to me about me, not about the product.
Exactly. And it goes back to figuring out what are those few angles that work really well and making sure you can reinforce benefits there. If you're selling a rice cake, don't talk about how it's low sugar or low carb. Talk about how it's the easiest after school snack that a mom can make their kids.
Yeah. Great. I love that.
Cool. And the last one is to measure everything. Don't necessarily, especially if you have a store with a ton of traffic, a lot of these are lever, or actually everything I mentioned is a lever. Some are bigger levers, some are smaller levers. Changing a button's design or a color, that's a smaller lever. Adding a comparison chart, that's a bigger lever. And make sure you're properly testing these things, not just throwing it all in and then thinking, oh wait, this either worked really well or it didn't work really well, but we don't know why.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess the other thing I would say about that is make sure you understand what the size of the lever is. And then also make sure you have enough traffic to justify testing that size of the lever. If you're testing a very small change, you're going to need, Amazon can test anything in probably 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Everyone else needs anywhere between 3 days and 3 months.
Yeah.
If you have a small change, you're not going to get statistically significant data for a really long time. And it's not always your gut isn't always right here. There are a lot of instances where I'm like, wow, I didn't see that coming, but now we got to make this change.
Yeah. The other thing too is, make sure you actually need to do CRO testing. A lot of times it's no one even is coming to your site. So if you have 1,000 visitors a day or a week and you have, you're testing a button color, you're not going to really see anything material and you're probably just wasting your time.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, a worse crime than testing something that's minimal.
Yeah, we never tested anything until we got to $1 million a month, and I think that might have been a high amount. They're you should be testing way earlier than this. I'm still not even sure, and $1 million a month on a $12 item is a ton of traffic.
Right.
I'm not even sure that was right. I think $1 million, that was when we started seeing, okay, when we make a change, there is a benefit that I can kind of see when it comes to revenue. It's not always, but sometimes. If you're if you're doing $100,000 or less a month, I'm not sure CRO is worth it. Like, it's not worth an expense.
Yeah.
Like, you got to figure out your funnel first. You got to figure out whether what ads you need to run, or like how to get traffic. Do you have product market fit? Do you need a better product?
Totally.
But yeah, I like all of these tips. Those were fantastic. Thanks for going through those.
I have we don't have that much time left, but we can save the DPA thing. Do you want to go through that checklist that I was talking about earlier? Because I think that pairs perfectly with this.
Perfect.
So this is basically a checklist of things that I tend to think of when we're basically just producing work, whether it's for clients, whether it's internally. If you're at a brand, I think all this applies as well. The first one, shockingly enough, is just basically, do you have enough social proof? Like, is wherever you're sending people, does it talk about the product in a way that's not robotic and actually shows that people enjoy it, use it, have tried it, and it works?
Oh, you love social proof.
I love social proof. In fact, I love also finding ways to make social proof unique. Like, for example, there's a Jolie landing page we're working on, and instead of writing something like, however many 5-star reviews they have, I changed it to write 10,000 plus people have posted on social media about Jolie.
Yeah.
In my head, that is a way stronger, way heavier weight line of copy than, somebody seeing, again, 5-star reviews.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The next one is, and I mentioned this earlier, but like, are you thinking about a user coming from a shitty phone service provider to your site for the first time?
Yeah.
If they're coming in with no context, is it obvious that what they're getting into, is it explained? Is the problem being addressed? Like, are you telling us what the problem is so that you can then tee it up with the solution?
Are you creating separate landing pages for men and women at Jolie? Or are they the same?
Right now they're the same, but we want to test creating different ones and also different use cases. Like, their biggest one right now is about hair shedding and hair loss, because that just got clinically trialed. But like, there's definitely people who have eczema who get rid of it, and I think that's a huge angle. I think men having dandruff is another huge angle. So yeah, eventually that's the goal.
Got it.
The next one is your imagery doing the best job at visually explaining what the product does? And my favorite example of this is Cadence. I think their average product image actually shows you the product inside, and it shows you how you can use the products in your suitcase, on your, wherever it is. It just visually kind of puts the idea in your head of where you're going to use it. So even if you see the product and you're like, I won't use this, you might then look at their product and say, oh wait, actually I would use this.
Yeah. Because you're like, okay, would I use this for lotions? And you're like, oh, you know what? I don't like to dip my finger in that. And then you're like, oh, they use it for pills too. So maybe I would put my medicine in here.
Exactly.
It is a really beautiful photography.
I think it's the best in the industry. The next one is, are you double checking math? So, we're marketers, not mathematicians.
Yeah.
But things like your percentage discounts, your fractions, if something is 37 or 36.2%, you can't say 37. You have to say 35 or 36. And just making sure you're double checking to make sure you're not saying anything that could land you in hot water or get you in trouble.
Yeah. Oh, tell me when you said something like when you messed up the math and you got in trouble.
I remember 6 years ago, or 7 years ago, we said something like 37% off, just because I liked the way that sounded.
Yeah.
3 and 7 is 10. 7 is always a number people think of. But it was 36 point something, and I got chewed out. We had to put it down to 35%.
And not 36%, because it was 36.
No, because 36 sounds weird.
Okay.
But 35, I think we tested it, and we found that 35 was better.
Really? I thought if it was like 36.7, you could say, you can't say 37? Wow.
No, at least not according to the CFO I was working for at the time.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
The other one that I think is probably relevant here, but not directly is like, make sure you're testing dollars and percentage off.
Make sure you're testing dollars and percentage off. Yes.
Sometimes $5 doesn't sound as good as, or $5 sounds way better than 5% or 10%.
Yes. And the other thing is, like, if you can give free gifts when it comes to coupon codes, I'm always like, the perceived value of a free gift is so much, and your cost, like, like we would give out, like, we'd say free travel size deodorant, and like that cost us 60 some cents. And you bought it for $3. But so if you bought it for $3, you think of it's worth $3, but it only costs us 60 cents. If we gave you a 10% coupon, you're going to save $1.20. That was cash that was worth $1.20 to me too.
Totally.
Your $1.20 is worth the same amount for both of us.
Right.
So the travel size deodorant was a much better thing to give away.
Interesting. The next one I have is I call this like the Indian dad test or the brown dad test, which is the so what. So like, when you finish, you finish a landing page, you finish a piece of creative, you redesign a product page. The question is, so what? Like, what is this doing back to the holistic strategy or to a strategy. Like, does this map back to what we initially started doing when we started the project? Or is this just nicely designed and it just looks cleaner?
Yeah.
The other one is, is this consistent in terms of messaging throughout, which we also talked about earlier, but like, are the benefits consistent? If I click on a blue teddy bear, am I getting to a page with a pink blanket, or am I seeing the blue teddy bear after I click?
Definitely.
That right there is where most brands lose their traffic. They show something in the ad, it goes to a generic homepage or collections page or whatever, and people drop off because what they clicked on is not there. Next,
yeah, that really. Not only that, I wouldn't even go to a pink teddy bear. I'd go to a blue teddy bear.
Exactly.
You need that type of level of consistency.
Exactly. Next one is which we talked about earlier. Are you giving the reader context and defining words or phrases as they get to it? So just making sure that you're not giving them things that don't make sense. And then the last one, which I always think about, is would your mom be able to navigate this customer journey and not have questions? Like, would somebody who is older than you, maybe not living and drinking the Kool-Aid that you are, can they actually get here, especially from a mobile device, and go through that journey? And sometimes that journey is not just click an ad to a landing page and check out. It's like click an ad, go to the landing page, go to Google, type the brand name, see what pops up, see where those links are redirecting or what happens there, what they're learning there, email, all that stuff. So is that journey real and consistent and, proving your point?
Yeah, and the other part that I always thought was really you want them to be able to understand the options. Like, right, if you're selling jeans, it should be really easy to change your size. If you're selling deodorant, it should be easy to understand what scents you have. If you're selling, paint, it should be easy to understand what colors you have. And I think a lot of people will have crazy drop downs or something to that effect. Don't make anything, don't reinvent the wheel when it comes to your product page. Don't try and do anything out of the ordinary. People are like, this is what I expect. I should see what I expect here.
Totally. Yeah, if you've got a drop down, make sure it's styled properly.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't have that generic style.
Yeah.
If you have one scent, don't have a scent selector. You have one option.
Yeah, that's right.
If you're selling something that's over $100, don't add a quantity selector.
Yeah. Because nobody's going to buy two of those things.
Yeah. And the other thing, actually, on that note,
that is so interesting.
When I got to Hint, we had 15, 30, and 45 and 60-day subscription options. Just find the one that 80% of people go to and just offer that.
15, 30,
45, and 60-day.
And what would 15 mean? You get it every 15 days?
Every 15 days, you get a new order.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. Yeah. And have a default that's the one that most people are choosing. If you're not going to do that, at least the default. One of the number one reason for us for churn was you'd be getting your deodorant too early.
Yeah.
And we defaulted to every 2 months, and we should have defaulted to every 3 months.
Yeah.
But I was like, I like the revenue every 2 months.
Yeah. This happens a lot in supplements too, especially non-ready to drink supplements. Mm-hmm. So tinctures, powders, capsules. People go out, they have a long night. The next morning, they don't follow their normal morning routine, or they go out, they don't follow their normal evening routine. Yeah. And the tub of creatine is not getting consumed as fast. And by month 2, these people are churning.
Yes,
because they're wait a second, I have more than I need.
Yeah, that's my number one issue with Create is, and I can't subscribe to that because I'm I'm so. First, I'm not taking the same amount every day because they sometimes stick together. So I'm some days I'll take 2, and some days it'll be 5 stuck together. So whatever it is, and then I miss days, and I'm like, okay, I don't want 3 bags of this sitting over here.
Yeah.
Those are great tips. Yeah. Those are fantastic tips.
Thank you. Straight off the dome.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's a wrap for this episode. That was so good. I love those. The 20 CRO tips is really fantastic. I think that's going to help a lot of people.
Amazing.
All right. Thanks for that, Nick.
Of course. See you next episode.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next time to cut through the noise in CPG, retail, and e-commerce.
And if you enjoyed this episode, then why not share it with a friend? And be sure to subscribe on whatever platform you listen to your podcasts on.